Greetings, I'm Solidus-Skully, and welcome back to Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep. Yeah, things have gotten a bit fucked up. Terra lost his home, Master Eriquus is dead, and, yeah, Xehanort struck him down in cold blood. But in the meantime, however, we have our last confrontation at the Keyblade Graveyard awaiting, so in the meantime, let's blow off a little bit of steam and train up with a bit of Mirage Arena action. This is the Disney Drive track of the Mirage Arena Rumble Racing. I do believe there are more tracks than this, but I'm not entirely sure about that, but anyway, I figure for the sake of at least showing things off in as complete a fashion as I can, because, yeah, I'm gonna be honest, I'm probably not gonna be going back to Birth by Sleep after this. Probably, I mean, at least of fucking all doing all the Mirage Arena shit again, which the only reason why I'm doing that is, first of all, to show off the fact that characters have an ultimate shot lock, and, secondly, also a factor of, you know, showing off the game to as decent an ability as I can. Again, I did the fucking command board shite, and I'm showing off this, but no more. If you want to see more of Birth by Sleep and all this stuff, buy the game for yourself. It's available on many Kingdom Hearts collections, and by God, you'll enjoy it for yourself. Anyway, Rumble Racing. To reiterate, again, you have pretty much your basic, you know, break, barrier surge, a little bit of a spin move that you can use to kind of speed up a little bit when you've got yourself locked onto other races. It's, In terms of track design, it's basically just sort of on par with a generic PS1 racer. The only one that really comes to mind, and kind of fitting given what we're talking about right here, is actually, Mickey Speedway USA, which I believe was developed by Rare as well, so, you know, points for them. Ran on the Diddy Kong racing engine, so again, what we have here with Rumble Racing is that it's not bad, but it's just kind of there. And I will say this about Disney Drive compared to, you know, Country Chase, is that, again, there are a lot more shortcuts you can take, a lot of places where you can, you know, brake hard turn to maximize your lap time, but at the same time, though, it's, again, it is what it is, really. I think there are more racetracks like this, but how you unlock them, I'm not too sure, and nor do I care, to be perfectly honest, so, again, if anybody wants to answer that question, go ahead, but honestly, I probably won't be going back to do this again. Which is funny, because I actually did have to go off and replay this again after I found out that my recording of the original Rumble Racing was fucked up, so I accessed the Rumble Racing from here, so I could do the Rumble Racing in the middle of the playthrough to edit things in one seamless thing. Unlike the Olympus Coliseum, which was more story-based, and I couldn't technically go back and do it without playing through the whole game again, and at which point I would have said, fuck that. I don't know what it is about Terra's story, like, I've been having a lot of, like, fucking recording and hardware issues up the yin-yang just not wanting me to complete Terra's story, but listen, dammit, we will win! And that's pretty much what I plan to do with the Mirage Arena in its entirety here. I pretty much plan to show off all the arena fights. I will be cutting some of them down for time, because a lot of it is just basic sort of fight the unversed Sugar Me Doos, and then you get the ultimate encounter right at the end. Or some of them, even if that. I am going to be showing off some of the more unique matches, but apart from that, yeah, I'm pretty much just showing off some of the big bads, like, you know, the Illusion Master, I can't quite remember what the original unversed name was, the second fight with Trinity Armor that I've been promising for a while now, and of course, well, the final fight against the Iron Prisoner, which, again, if you might have remembered during Ventus' story, became less restrained with each time you fought him. And, yeah, the reason why you want to do this, or at least up until you reach the Keepers of the Arena, is so that you can unlock the character's ultimate shot lock. There is another round after this where you can fight, you know, Xehanort's Keyblade Armor, Eriquus' Keyblade Armor, and stuff like that, but that's a little bit too much effort than I was really willing to put in, and quite frankly, both in recording and in terms of actual commentating, God, I'm just getting fucking tired of Birth by Sleep, man, so yeah, I do kind of forgive me if, you know, the funnies or the informative commentaries isn't exactly completely up to snuff. It's, I'm just fucking tired, is really all it is at the end of the day. Yeah, but you know what, I gotta do it. I'm gonna show it off regardless, because, you know what, the Kingdom Hearts commentaries, regardless of what anybody thinks about them, I do have fun doing them. Again, it's really saying something with even Kingdom Hearts games I don't like, such as Birth by Sleep. I still enjoy doing them, so, you know, whether it's for riffing on them or just for the sheer fuck of it, it's enjoyable. And I'm glad the finishing thing came in so I can bask in my own self-glory. Yes, that's right, the fanfare is for me! For me! Anyway, that's pretty much it. What you're racing for in the Mirage Arena is pretty much for medals. Your main way of acquiring more medals to do a thing, and you pretty much get what all this is referring to at this stage. Anyway, this is Risky Riches, pretty much the Treasure Fiend-based attack round. Again, you're pretty much encountering just a bunch of mimics along with a bunch of unversed, so take them down for mass cash prizes. It's really what you're going to be doing this for. By the way, it's worth noting that I have no handy-dandy tangents to help me out. I've got very little else to say and do, so yeah, I'm kind of winging it right now. By the way, it's important to note where this arena match takes place. Skull Rock, which is precisely where Peter Pantsless was hiding his treasures, and where they were like, sorry, we lost the treasures in a gambling match. Rockbreaker. But yeah, like, I mean, these rounds do also have different levels, depending on which one you pick. And again, if Monster of the Sea was an 8, which was the Monstro fight, then yeah, they kind of range in between levels 8 to a bunch of different other things, really. Again, you do have the arena ranking level, which is part of the reason why you need to gradually complete arena matches, command board stuff, and rumble racing to build that up, but yeah, that's pretty much all she wrote, really. And from this point forth, it's pretty much just random fighting for the sake of itself. So, I mean, again, you could potentially, I suppose, level grind if you feel the need here, but again, I think the Reactor Core Radiant Garden is much more preferable. And it is also worth getting, you know, medals for the sake of buying stuff in the Moogle shop, you know, for the Mirage Arena, which does have exclusive shot locks and things you can purchase to, you know, even the odds in battle, but that does also come with a very specific caveat in the sense that, well, you know, you gotta grind a lot for the Mirage Arena, which I don't think counts towards your overall level, so yeah, whatever. Anyway, we also have Mega Flare putting the work in, and this specifically, I believe, is the Illusionist. I can't quite remember the unversed name, nor do I really care to remember it, because we're going to be fighting him twice a little bit later on, and yeah, that's pretty much all the Mirage Arena is. Face off against, you know, a bunch of unversed and a little Sugar-Me-Doo fight, and then you pretty much get the main head honcho boss fight right towards the end. Not all the time, mind you, but that is generally the sort of either you get here. By the way, it is also worth going after these as well, because sometimes they do actually bear very fruitful rewards, depending on what you play. I believe at the end of this round, actually, you get another exclusive Keyblade for Terra, which is called Chaos Ripper. Pretty nice Keyblade, but again, as you probably heard in the previous part, I'm sticking with Ends of the Earth, primarily for continuity reasons, but another reason is also due to the fact that, well, it's just one of my favorite Keyblades of the series, actually. It's, I don't know. Like, I mean, again, for those of you who remember Kingdom Hearts 2, you saw this in action plenty during the end, and I figured I might as well stick to status quo. Round 4. Yeah, a lot of these early ones are going to be fairly easy, but as they go on a little bit later, that's where things begin to get a little bit, hachi-machi for my taste. Whee! A meteorite inside the ship. Would have thought that would have caused a bit more damage since there's no, like, vacuum shielding or anything of the sort, but whatever. Also, Cunt Slayer putting the work in. Can actually come in quite handy with the Mirage Arena given how powerful enemies can be, and again, given how powerful Cunt Slayer actually is, again, you can decimate enemies quite quickly if you get the positioning right. You do have a bit of a limited time in order to align your shots, so to speak, of the smaller meteorites to hit the enemies, but yeah, again, if you can manage to land it, you can do some pretty sweet damage towards your enemies, and yeah, this is the Illusionist. Basically what would happen if Zexion wasn't unversed, but oh, Mimic Master. Never mind, but yeah, it's probably best you get as many hits on the Mimic Master as you can right now, because well, got a very chunky health bar for one thing, but he also induces status effects. The most immediate one you're going to be seeing right now is Blind if he hits you with his little darkness laser. I believe this can be countermanded if you have Easterner on, but yeah, at this stage I don't, so you're pretty much going to run out of the way and try and avoid its attacks until, you know, you can take it out quite easily. And no, unfortunately, those light rays don't cure the blind status. And also, unfortunately, unlike classic Final Fantasy, where it looks like the character's wearing little sunglasses whenever they got the blind status on, no, you just pretty much gotta take him out again. I mainly recommend staying away with ranged attacks. Shot locks help immensely here, but yeah, just if you find an opportunity to get in and hit him, take that opportunity, but I mean, otherwise, yeah, the movement master can deal out a fair bit of damage, and admittedly though, the Mirage Arena is primarily something I recommend for people looking for a challenge with Birth by Sleep's combat schema. I mean, it is powerful for a reason, but like, yeah, I mean, if the main game is pretty much starts at a 5 and jumps to a 10, then the Mirage Arena pretty much starts at 10 and continues to climb up to a 20, so yeah, that's something you gotta keep in mind, and by the way, yeah, similar to Zexion, actually has clones attack you using his mimicry pages. So yeah, you're pretty much gonna defeat all the Terra clones until you can finally break out Rock Breaker. Stop hitting me, activate Rock Breaker. I have no idea why I'm doing that voice for that, but it's funny to me. Dun 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 dun. And yeah, we get some pretty kickin' boss themes that we've heard all throughout the game, but once again, I really need to sing Birth by Sleep's soundtrack its praises. It is fucking immaculate. Again, it was worked on by Yosho Shimomura, Tsuyoshi Sakito, I believe, as well, so again, massive props to them. They did excellent work, and you know, for all my faults with Birth by Sleep, it does have one of my favourite soundtracks in the entire series, so good on them. Chaos Ripper away! And now, we come to another battle against Trinity Armor, as I have been promising for quite some time. In terms of enemy dynamics, the boss battle itself doesn't really change, it's just a factor that, you know, the boss hits harder this time around, so yeah, not really too much more to explain, but in the meantime, while you're watching more fighting of epic proportions, it's, do you remember how I was once telling you the tale of Snow White and the 7 Clever Boys? Well, now I'm going to give you the origin of Cinderella, which I was actually surprised to learn, had its origins not from the Brothers Grimm or even Charles Perrault, which was one of the earliest variations of the tale. But no, in fact, it actually goes as far back as to, ancient Greece, actually, during the 1st century. Hang on, I need to get the... Oh, yeah, the 5th century. Interesting. But yeah, the tale originated from ancient Greece, and, yeah, it actually told the story of Rodolphus. Or Rodopus? Rodolphus, I'm gonna call it that from now on. Anyway, it is one of the oldest known versions of the Cinderella tale, but anyway, I'm gonna read it to you now. Rodolphus, a Greek courtesan living in the colony of Naucratis in Egypt, whose name bears rosy cheeks, or that's what it means in translation. The story was first recorded by Greek geographer Strabo in his geographic book. They, the Egyptians, tell the fabulous story that when she was bathing, an eagle snatched one of the courtesan's sandals from her maid and carried it to Memphis while the king was administering justice in the open air. The eagle, when it arrived above his head, flung the sandal into his lap. Flung the sandal into his lap, and the king, both admiring the beautiful shape of the sandal and the strangeness of the event that occurred, sent men in all directions of the country in quest of this woman who wore the sandal, and when she was found in the city of Naucratis, she was brought up to Memphis and became the wife of the king. So yeah, quite a bizarre tale, but a much happier one where this Greek courtesan living a life of, well, debauchery was made into royalty. Which seems to be the only real surviving element between that and any other version of the tale, so... I mean, one that's probably a lot less bound by morals, I suppose, and I certainly don't see Disney adapting that version of Cinderella. Yeah, anyway, it's quite interesting that it was in fact sandals rather than a glass slipper. I mean, I'm sure it probably has been adapted, you know, into other sorts of tales here and there throughout fiction throughout the years, but I don't know, it would be quite interesting to see precisely, you know, what sort of stuff would be interesting, you know, in terms of seeing it adapted in different storytelling. But anyway, that's pretty much all I got for you. I'm tempted to maybe read out Sleeping Beauty if I have the time, which I do, so excuse me for a moment while I search up the story of Sleeping Beauty. Okay, now I'm back with more stories regarding Sleeping Beauty, which, again, doing a bit of research, I found out that its origin actually comes from medieval France in 1528, and tells the tale of a princess named Zelandine. Yes, not Aurora, who falls in love with a man named Troilus. Troilus, wasn't that? Hang on. Oh, actually, yeah, that does make sense, because of the fall of Troy that eventually became Paris after the famed soldier. History lessons. It's fun with Solidus-Skully. But anyway, I think it's about time we actually saw the original folklore tale of Sleeping Beauty, so alas, I shall read to you. Now make sure you've tucked all your kids to bed, give them a nice little glass of milk, play the Traverse Town theme, and just continue watching the video, because fuck it. Anyway... Yes, I suppose I should probably go for the... Well, I mean, there are actually a few different versions, actually. I mean, there's one by, Gambiasta Basile, which I'm guessing is the original version. Again, I know there is more of a folktale version earlier on. Okay. You know what, I'm just gonna try and read the original folktale version, and if I can be asked, I'll try and discuss the original Basile version compared to anything else. Anyway, the folktale begins with a princess whose parents are told by a wicked fairy, not named Maleficent evidently, that their daughter will die when she pricks her finger on an item. And, yeah, we don't exactly know what item this is, so there's variations depending on the tale. The parents rid the kingdom of these items, okay, apparently there seems to be multiple items, and so they can protect their daughter from the prophecy, as well as loose lips when trying to read. However, instead of dying as was foretold, the princess falls into a deep sleep, after the prophecy is fulfilled regardless, so... Yeah, should have been a bit more specific on that, hey? You wicked fairy bitch. After some time, she is found by a prince and is awakened. You know, I'm starting to think that this is just more of a general synopsis, so you know what, let me start all of this again, and go from, Basile's tale. So anyway, in Basile's dark version of Sleeping Beauty, Sun, Moon, and Talia, the princess, Sleeping Beauty, is named Talia. By asking wise men and astrologers to predict her future after birth, her father, who was a great lord, learns that Talia will be in danger from a splinter of flax. I'm guessing that's wood, or from a tree, potentially? Talia, now grown, sees an old woman spinning outside her window. Intrigued by the sight of the twirling spindle, Talia invites the woman over, and takes distaff from her hand to stretch the flax, as she is a nobody. Tragically, the splinter of the flax gets embedded under her nail. Oh shit! And she falls dead to the ground. However, it is later learned that it is a long, deep sleep. After Talia falls into a deep sleep, she is seated on a velvet throne, and her father, to forget about his misery of what he thinks is her death, closes the doors and abandons the house forever. One day, while the king is walking by, one of his falcons flies into the house. The king knocks, hoping to be let in by someone. But no one answers, and he decides to climb into the window with a ladder to find Talia alive but unconscious. And gathers the first fruits of true love. Afterwards, he leaves her in her bed and goes back to his kingdom. Though Talia is unconscious, she gives birth to twins? What the fuck? She gave birth when she was fucking asleep? What the... One of whom keeps sucking from her fingers, and Talia awakens to find that the twin has sucked out the flax. How the fuck are those twins even alive? Well, anyway, one of the twins sucked out the flax that was stuck deep in Talia's finger. When she wakes up, she discovers that she is a mother and has no idea what happened to her. Fucking hell. One day, the king decides that he wants to go see Talia again, so he goes back to the palace to find her awake, and a mother to his twins, and informs her that what has happened, and they end up bonding. After a few days, the king has to leave to go back to his realm, but promises Talia that he will return to take her to his kingdom. When he arrives back in the kingdom, his wife hears him saying Talia, sun, and moon in his sleep. She bribes and threatens the king's secretary to tell him what's going on, and after the queen learns the truth, she pretends that she is the king, and writes to Talia asking her to send the twins, because he wants to see them. Talia sends her twins to the king, and the queen tells the cook to kill the twins and make dishes out of them and serves them as if they were twins. What the fucking sh... Oh my... I'm just gonna keep reading. This tale is getting more twisted as we go on. Okay. Every time the king mentions how good the food is, the queen replies, "Eat, eat, you are, you are eating of your own." Later, the queen invites Talia to the kingdom and is going to burn her alive, but the king appears and finds out what's going on with his children and Talia. He then orders his wife to be burned along with those who betrayed him, since the cook did not actually obey the queen. The king thanks the cook for having saved his children by giving him rewards, and the story ends with the king marrying Talia and living happily ever after. Well then, that's, that was the original story of Sleeping Beauty. That was a lot darker than I was expecting it to be. Oh my fucking god. Well, you know what, that's enough fairy tales for me this evening. Holy shit. Oh god, Birth by Sleep would have been a far different game if that was the version of Birth by Sleep we saw in the Enchanted... Honestly, I don't think Terra could have made anything much worse if we had Basile's narrative in place of the Disney version. In fact... Oh god. Actually, if anything, Terra being in that situation would have improved it. I'm just gonna skim over this once again, because... Okay, she gets the flax, but... Oh. So that's what it means by gathers the first fruits of love. Well then. So yeah, if you ever wanted to know what gathering the fruits of love means, well, that's pretty much what happens when you rape someone when they're asleep. Anyway, onto slightly more lighter dispositions, which is funny given the fact that Zack is using darkness. Yeah, take out Zack first, that is an order. Hades ain't really shit, but... Yeah, again, as you can no doubt tell, Zack's attacks hurt when he gives you the Zack attack. Yeah! I mean, granted, Hades is nothing to scoff at either, but Jesus Christ. Oh my god, my pain. Which is probably nothing compared to what Sleeping Beauty went through in the original tale, but... It's neither here nor there in this case. I mean, I wish I had more to say at this stage, but... Yeah, that's, kind of all I got for this. I'm blown back by how fucking gruesome the original narrative was, and that wasn't even the fucking Brothers Grimm, which meant to, you know, be, you know, the creme de la creme of murdering people's childhoods when they eventually find out where the tale came from. Yeah. You know what, I think it's a bit of a palate cleanser. Let's take a look at the Charles Perrault version of the, Cinderella narrative. Or, as it says here, in Le Frenchman, Cendrillon le Petit le Pamphlet de Ver by Perrault. Oh, Monsieur Croquette. This is the story of Cinderella who is very smelly. I rub my mouth of the stinkiness. Okay, that's enough making fun of the French for this part. Anyway, Cinderella by Charles Perrault. A wealthy widower marries a proud and haughty woman as his second wife. She has 2 daughters who are equally vain and selfish, but the man also has a young and beautiful daughter from his first wife. A girl of unparalleled kindness and sweet temper, unless you eat all the figs in the pudding, in which case she gets very angry. The stepmother, jealous of the young girl because of her good graces, shows up her own 2 daughters' faults and forces her into servitude, where the girl is made to work day and night doing menial chores, and after her chores are done for the day, she curls up near the fireplace in an effort to stay warm. She often arises covered in ashes, giving rise to the nickname Cendrillon, Cinderella, by her stepsisters, and Cinderella bears abuse patiently and does not tell her father, who would have scolded her. Because Jesus Christ, this was the fucking 1800s. Deal with that abuse, woman, or you get in the fucking backhand. One day, the prince invites all the people in the land to a royal ball, and the 2 stepsisters gleefully plan out their wardrobes for the ball, taunting Cinderella by telling her that maids aren't invited to the ball. Rather. As the two stepsisters and the stepmother depart for the ball, apologize for my tongue-tiedness, Cinderella cries in despair. And then suddenly, a man with a Keyblade appears. It is her prince, Terra, and her fairy godmother magically appearing, and they immediately transform Cinderella from a house servant to the young lady she was by birth. Yes, birth by sleep. All in all, the effort to get Cinderella to the ball, she turns a pumpkin into a golden carriage, mice into horses, and a rat into a coachman, and lizards into the footmen. God knows what the animals must have been thinking during all this. She then turns Cinderella's rags into a beautiful jeweled gown, complete with a delicate pair of glass slippers. The fairy godmother tells her to enjoy the ball, but warns her that she must return before midnight, or the spell will be broken. At the ball, the entire court is entranced by Cinderella, especially the prince, who in this version is Terra, invented by Tetsuya Nomura, who time-traveled to be her wedded husband. Cinderella remembers to leave before midnight. Back home, Cinderella graciously thanks her fairy godmother, so yeah, she actually managed to make it home in time. Good for her. She then innocently greets the two stepsisters who had not recognized her earlier and talk nothing of the beautiful girl at the ball. Another ball is held the next evening. Cinderella returns with her fairy godmother's help, and the prince has become even more infatuated with the mysterious woman at the ball. Yes, indeed, Terra wants to make Cinderella his girlfriend, and in turn, Cinderella becomes enchanted by Terra. She loses track of time, and leaves only at the final stroke of midnight, losing one of her glass slippers in the palace. And in her haste, the prince chases her, but outside the palace, the guards see only a simple country girl leave. The prince pockets the slipper, so I guess the magic doesn't affect it unless Cinderella's wearing it? Oh, that's interesting. And vows to marry the girl to whom it belongs. Meanwhile, Cinderella keeps the other slipper, which does not disappear when the spell is broken. Is it because the prince had it, or is it because of the fairy godmother trying to fulfill Cinderella's wish? Huh. Anyway, the prince tries to slip her on many women throughout the kingdom, but when the herald arrives at Cinderella's home, the two stepsisters try in vain to win him over. But Cinderella asks if she may try, of course after Aqua interferes, you know, pad out for time. Cinderella's stepfamily pleads for forgiveness, and Cinderella agrees after she tries on the slipper, it fits perfectly. Huh, that's actually a much nicer resolution than in fact I initially thought. But anyway, Cinderella had hoped that her stepfamily would always love her anyways, and I guess they did. Not sure what brought about this change of heart in the stepfamily, but hey-ho, Pip and Dale, all is well again. Anyway, Terra and Cinderella marry, and they forgive their stepsisters. And they, the stepsisters get married off to wealthy noblemen, so everyone lives happily ever after. And I'm also reading down here that beauty is a treasure, but graciousness is priceless. Without it, nothing is possible, and one can do anything. Well, yeah, that is certainly a much nicer interpretation of the narrative than what you saw in the Disney flick and anything else, really. I mean, it is comparatively much more tamer and a bit more dramatic compared to, you know, Sleeping Beauty, which, I mean, I suppose are kind of intentional, but at the same time, though, it's, you know, it's not too bad. But anyway, we are pretty much at the final Iron and Prisoner fight, where I can finally get back to talking about the gameplay. I don't really have much of a strategy, other than shotlocks are your friend, use them, otherwise you are going to be, gathering the first fruits of love, shall we say. Yeah, the Iron and Prisoner has nothing holding him back, so, yeah, shotlocks are pretty much my only strategy. There probably is more of a strategy for players with more skill than I, but I really don't have anything. My biggest thing is to pretty much just, shotlock away, occasionally do bits of pip damage to regain your shotlock back, and, whenever the Iron and Prisoner goes into this little, like, block rush mode, as you're seeing right here, just, well, just dodge out of the way, really. Sorry about that, just having a bit of drink of Pepsi, but yeah, in the meantime, that's all three fairy tales done and dusted. I mean, again, I haven't posted Terra's story at the time of recording this, so, yeah, I mean, depending on how it goes for the Snow White world, I might potentially do some more fairy tale-ish readings, maybe for some other Disney worlds if I run out of commentary. I don't know, I actually found it quite interesting to go back and revisit the original tales compared to, you know, what we experienced both in the Disney version as well as the, you know, Kingdom Hearts incarnation. Oh god. But yeah, if you complete this fight with the Iron Prisoner after defeating all the Unversed beforehand, this is where you get access to the character's ultimate shotlock here. I know Terra's is ultimate cannon, which is pretty much the ability that you would have seen in Kingdom Hearts 2 when he used it against you as Sora. I can't quite remember what Ventus and Aquas are though. But then again, that also requires going through... excuse me. It also requires going through the Mirage Arena again, and quite frankly, fuck that! So I really got nothing more to say. And we've still got a fairly large chunk of boss fight left to go. Dang. I will say that again, much like with a lot of the other Iron Prisoner fights, but more so than anywhere else here, if he uses that little cage attack on you, yeah, that's pretty much a death sentence, because, yeah, you're pretty much trapped, unless of course you have a powerful attack to get out of there, yeah, you're gonna get buggered really quickly. Whee! Oh god. Yeah, even just watching this fight is fucking tense for me, because... I mean, even though I know I win this fight, unlike the other one against the Ice Titan, which I lost and couldn't be arsed shown again, yeah, this is... God. There we go. I do apologize for at least somewhat of the repetition of just using the shotlock, but... I mean, to be completely honest, there's not much of a strategy I really have. His attacks fucking hurt. So, okay. Come on. Die already. I'm scared. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we just have one more round of, oh no, we're out of shotlock, and now he's gonna go back into a thing. And we're gonna dodge out of the way of the blocks of, whatever these things are. It's kind of odd, actually, because, I mean, I know this place was initially going to have Laguna Loire from Final Fantasy VIII be the head of the arena, but it's kind of odd that they didn't try and make this place look a little bit more Final Fantasy VIII in terms of the technology they had. I don't know. I mean, I can see some resemblance, but I don't know. It's would have been cool if we had that little bit of a visual distinction, though. God. Come on. This will be the end for you. Your death is inevitable. Come on. Yes! At last. And now, we finally bear fruit for our rewards. And that is... the Ultima Cannon. And also a shitload of medals. Excellent. Ultima Cannon. Breathe it in, ladies and gentlemen. We have attained perfection. And if you want to see what the Ultima Cannon is like as we slowly walk away, well, you'll be seeing that next time in the Keyblade Graveyard. It is a shotlock well worth getting, and, you know, for the amount of bullshit that we put up with in terms of the Mirage Arena, I'd say that it's well worth it. Again, there's a lot of difficult fights to be had, but if you're willing to push it in, it is worth it. So on that note, I'm Solidus-Skully, and I'll see you next time for the end of Birth by Sleep.